Rick just became one of the biggest cold email senders on our platform. He is booking up to 15 calls every single day with cold email, and he even signed a six-figure deal using cold email, $100,000. Now, what's his business? Well, it's called Simply Noted, and it's basically a bunch of robot arms that write handwritten letters.
What did he say?
I'm serious, I saw the whole robot army situation. It was pretty insane. It's like Terminator V2. Now it seems like he's like this exceptional human being, and that's because he absolutely is. Did I also mention he actually played in the NFL? Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Caduce. I'm co-founder of Inframail, and we send tens of millions of emails across all of our clients. Some you've definitely heard of, like Seamless.ai, Aftership.com, Conversion.ai, Ocean.io, Air.ai, and thousands of other B2B firms. In this interview with Rick, he breaks down his whole cold email process and how he's successful with cold email and in life in general, because it's not easy to be a D1 athlete. And we're gonna go over the tools that he uses, his cold email process, how he books up to 10, 15 calls every single day, how many emails he sends, and his whole business model of robot arms. If you wanna see more videos like this, definitely like, comment, and subscribe. Share with a friend. Do everything you need to do to have more videos like this come out. We're gonna do a really cool one upcoming, so subscribe to the channel. Let's cut to the interview. I'm doing an interview here with Rick Elmore, and he's a big player of Inframail, one of our biggest senders on the platform. And he has a very unique business that I'm sure no one's ever heard of. And you also have a pretty interesting background as an athlete. So I don't want to introduce you, but please tell the people who you are, Rick, and what you do.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, my name's Rick Elmore. I'm the founder of a business called Simply Noted. It's one of the largest handwritten mail businesses, I think, in the world. I'm not really sure because it's kind of a weird niche, and some of our competitors don't really have websites, but at least with an online presence. But yeah, we help companies either integrate, automate, or scale sending genuine handwritten notes. And the way that we do that is with custom-built handwriting robots that we build here in Phoenix, Arizona. We have 9 patents that's on the software of these robots. So it's kind of a weird business, but yeah, we help our clients send genuine handwritten notes to build better relationships, to start business conversations, for marketing, for sales, for customer service. So yeah, it's a pretty unique niche business, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. And the robots you showed me, the like all the arms writing in like in unison, it looked like a little robot army. I didn't know you had patents on it. That's pretty crazy. But it's like the whole idea is to reduce churn and, like you said, build relationships. But I'm guessing people could also reduce churn that way if they have like an MRR business and stuff like that.
You know what? I feel like I keep saying this and I say it more every year. I was saying this 5 years ago. Everybody's going digital and everybody's sending emails and doing ads and doing social. And where nobody is really doing anything nowadays is in the mailbox. You know, an average email, right, has a 20% open rate. You know, they get deleted real quick. You know, direct mail, even though that goes in the inbox, it's printed, that gets thrown away or not even open. Cold calls. That's really where the idea started, actually, was just like how successful handwritten notes are. They get opened 99% of the time. I was doing my MBA in 2017. I had a marketing professor who said, at the end of a 3 hour long lecture, he was talking about all the success rates of marketing. He was doing like direct mail, print mail, email, cold call, knocking doors. Everything was like single digit or low double digit. And he ends the lecture at the very end, and I thought it was seemed like he was joking, but it hit me so hard and resonated with me so much that he said, "You know what works better now, if not better than ever, is a good old-fashioned handwritten note. Nobody's doing it anymore. Mailboxes are empty, and who doesn't open a real handwritten envelope? Like it piques curiosity. They're rare. Nobody does it anymore." So that's kind of like where it started. I tested it, had huge success in my old sales job, had the entrepreneurial seizure, and 7.5, 8 years later, we're in a 12,000 square foot facility with 220 custom built handwriting robots. 40 plus thousand users visit our website every single month. It was higher before ChatGPT killed that. But anyways, yeah, I think a lot of people are zigging. We're trying to zag, and even with AI, and AI is making it even better because now we can get a lot more creative with the copy.
Yeah.
But yeah, sending a handwritten note, I think it's worth its gold now more than ever.
Yeah, 100%. I think you mentioned that stat of the 99% open, and I can't imagine not opening a handwritten if I saw it, especially like maybe it had like the little clear plastic little mail, the clear plastic that kind of shows you what's inside, sort of. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. We'll get into that, and I want to, tell everyone how you're growing the business with cold email. So tell us a little about your background, because I
Sure.
didn't know the whole NFL thing and the athlete thing. And I looked up the name. I'm seeing ESPN First Take. I'm seeing
Ricky Elmore jumping on pickup trucks, jumping out of pools, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So what is
Well,
that?
yeah, my background actually was in athletics. I was an athlete growing up. I was first generation to go to college. Incredibly proud of that. No nepotism, no handouts. I had to earn my way going forward. But I played all the sports growing up. I was a bigger guy. I'm 6'5", and I just always liked the more physical sports. So I played more like basketball and football, but just as I got older, football stuck out to me. Very fortunate, had a good career in high school, had a good career in college, went to the University of Arizona, was a 3-year starter for Mike Stoops, and then was drafted in the NFL. But I feel like what helped me be successful as an athlete, all those transferable skills I just took and applied it to business. When I got done, I felt like I was lost. I thought I was going to play, forever and retire and never, have to work a job. Like I just truly felt like I had that potential. What happens, sooner or later you have to hang up the cleats. I got in the corporate world, got a sales job for like 5 or 6 years. Knew I didn't want to work a corporate ladder, so I went back into my MBA. But just, all the things that I developed as an athlete, I just applied it here. And, I'm an athlete, sales guy who started a robotics, engineering, industrial automation, print mail business with zero experience. And it was just everything that made me successful as an athlete is what helped us be successful here.
Yeah, for sure. That I mean, yeah, I can imagine being an athlete is probably one of the hardest things in my personal opinion. I can't even imagine that. So business is probably just like a little playground. Yeah, a lot of transferable skills, like you said. And I also I know you talked about it. I saw your parts of your interview with the Seamless CEO, which and I
Mhm.
had some of your backstory there too. So yeah, I know this number might scare people, but tell everyone how many emails you're like sending out on a daily basis and how many calls you're booking every day.
You can always be doing more. And I remember we started on Woodpecker, which was an ESP from like 7 years ago. And I had one email, so like one email, sending cold emails, like 50 emails a day. And at that time, it was like that was my introduction to cold email. I like thought that was enough. I was just like, oh, I'm sending 50 emails a day, completely automated. This is cool. And then I talked to somebody who was like, hey, you need to send like more than that. So I got to like 5 emails. But like as your mind grows, your business grows, like in order to scale, you got to scale everything. I have to scale my robots, I have to scale my space. I don't know if it's choppy, it looks like it's choppy, but I've had to scale everything. And just the more I listen to what other people are doing, it's like, you got to figure out efficient ways to scale everything. And email has been one of those things that we've always leaned on to be something we can count on to be predictable at a fixed cost. If you go to Google Ads, like more conversions, you're going to get more clicks, which cost more, right? We
Yeah.
have a fixed cost, on our cold email system. And no matter what, if it generates, 100 leads or 500 leads, it's going to not change. So, we started off doing like 50 emails a day 7 years ago. And as we've gotten bigger, we're doing over, I think, 15,000 emails a day between all our ESPs, and we're scaling. We're working with you guys right now to continue to scale that. Our goal is to get to 50,000 emails. But anybody who's aware of like how cold email works, you got to build it up, you got to warm it up, you got to take your time, right? And that's like what we're working up to. But it's just one of those tools that we believe in, and we don't just use it for sales. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong is you can use cold email for other things. You can use it for, hey, just checking like your own database. We have 119,000 people in our own customer database. That's people who've signed up to our website. It's impossible to call all those people. And I'm not going to mail all those people. It's too expensive. So I'll do cold email campaigns like saying, hey, hope you're doing good. Just wanted to check in and see if you need help. Or, hey, thanks for being a customer with us. So we'll do it for like customer service. We'll do it for updates. Hey, here's a new product launch. Like, here's a video. We'll also do it for sales, trying to acquire new clients. So I think, some of the older, more experienced cold emailers have that more broader vision to how to use it. And like the younger people who just getting into it, just think of it for sales. I understand why, because you want to make money. But you have an incredible tool that has a fixed cost, that's efficient, that converts at a high dollar amount when anybody replies or stays, that if you're not using it for everything, you're just not getting the most out of it. So we try to like literally max it out every single day. If like our emails aren't sending, we're like, what are we doing? Like, why do we have them if we're not using them? So we're constantly working with our team to try to come up with new campaigns
Yeah.
for new reasons. Hey, we just launched this. Check this video out. hey, thanks for being a client. Coming from me, the owner of the business, hey, if you need anything, just let me know, right? I'm just
Yeah.
here checking in on you. Thank you for working with us. So I think you just got to have a much broader vision of cold email, not just for a sales tool. You got to really leverage it to be a tool that it's like a Swiss Army knife. You can use it for multiple things.
Yeah, I say it's like virtual door knocking. It's like, but there's no time and energy part of the equation where you don't like you could literally virtually do as many virtual door knocks. It's kind of like everyone has a home of an email. Everyone
Mm,
basically everyone has an email. So it's like door knocking, time and energy, like constraint. But with email, it's not really that much of a constraint anymore. You're knocking 15,000 doors a day, essentially. Um,
hmm
there's some, of course, like some nuance to that, but basically that's how I see it. So like I know you mentioned like you book a decent amount of calls every day, right? Generally.
Yeah, we sell such a niche business. So I'm in like groups and our reply rates are much different than like the normal like social media marketing or like SaaS software where we can like, it really comes down to your copy and your message and your guarantee. And it's getting harder because as everything evolves with AI, the person on the receiving end of an email is getting more sophisticated as well. They're getting more trained on like, oh, this is a cold email. The way I look at it, if I'm not booking at least at, a meeting per 1,000 emails I send, that's not a good day.
Yeah. So you're booking like you can even book up to 10, 15 calls a day.
Yeah, and that's like somebody responding, and then like, hey, I have to pass that off to our sales team, our customer success team. Yeah, so I would say 10 to 15. If we're not booking one meeting per 1,000, and some people that's low. Some people that's low because like I'm a part of all these groups where they're getting like 2 to 5% reply rates with 20% positive reply rates, and just like I just don't get that because we're selling robotic handwritten mail. Like it's already confusing when you hear it, right?
Right.
So if they're already confused, it's just harder. So we want to just keep engaging them, increase the volume, and we're okay with that number. It works for us. Because a conversion can be thousands and thousands of dollars. One conversion a month pays for our cold email system. And as a business owner, that's how I try to evaluate systems. It's like, hey, at the lowest amount, if I can only convert one person a month with this tool, with what we spend on it, like, am I at least going to break even? And
Yeah,
of course,
100%.
yeah. And like with email, it's always going to be that. It's just email is hard because you have to monitor it. You have to, work with ISPs like you guys. You have to work with ESPs. You got to have creative. You got to have funnels. You got to have tracking. If there's a holistic thought process to it, you can't just go into it. It's just like, hey, I'm going to get a list and blast these people. Like the more seasoned veterans in cold email are going to say, hey, let's look at this and reverse engineer it. Like, hey, my goal is to book a meeting. How am I going to get them there? Okay, they're going to fill out a form, but that's going to be clicking a button. Okay, that's going to be a landing page. What's the landing page going to look like? What's the communication funnel once somebody responds? Am I going to use an AI reply? I'm going to have somebody call them. What's our follow-up system? What's our sequence? Okay, what's the copy? What's the offer? Go to the ESP and, work on the copy, work with an AI tool to generate a super custom message. I mean, there's so much. We use make.com and ChatGPT and Google Sheets to like run information through it and make hyper custom icebreakers for each person. Like that's a more advanced tool. And I think they'll build that into these ESPs here soon. It just takes a lot. But, if you invest the time in understanding it, how to build out a successful cold email infrastructure, you just can't not do it. You have to do it because it's just so reliable, if that makes sense.
No, it is.
Just
It is. That's why I say it's like the customer acquisition cost basically is like goes to near zero the more customers you acquire. Every like if you spend $3,000 a month on let's say all your cold email stuff, if you add 20K in MRR versus 30 or versus 100, like that fixed cost doesn't change, and your
mm,
cap just drops every single time, which is kind of cool.
yeah.
So quick little Inframail plug. I know you like we literally just set up another 1,500 inboxes for you. Or I be planning on probably doing a lot more than that in the future. So how's your experience been sending emails?
I was really frustrated getting everything started just with all email platforms. Like it's frustrating to get started because you got to understand what's going on. But one of the things I've always loved about your system is the customer service. Like literally, you hit that chat and they fix it for you within minutes. Like I can't think, and that's why I've emailed you like, who's doing this for you? Because it's so good. Like you guys are like on top of it. I just love your customer service. And we figured out we were overloading some IPs early on, which were causing some IPs to go bad. But like that's from me not understanding how to do cold email, right? But as you grow through what you go through, right, you're going to go through these problems. Inframail has become I mean, our largest ISP by far. It's the easiest to work with. The customer service, and I know I'm plugging you guys hardcore, but I mean, this is why we're choosing you guys to scale. I mean, it's just been really easy to work with you guys. But yeah, I mean, we work with other ISPs too. I think it's really important as you scale to diversify because if there is an issue, you don't want your whole system to be down for the day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
But we're scaling with Inframail. It's just the easiest. I know there's other tools, but we've just had a good experience. It was rocky, but that wasn't on you guys. That was on me. Like, hey, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was overloading this server with all this stuff, but then we'd message you guys, and then you guys would get us a new server, and then we'd rewarm it up, and we'd be right back in action. So it's always just been really easy. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I just think you guys are on top of your stuff. So
Yeah. Well, that's the support team. Thankfully, they saved my
yeah,
life just as well as they save
yeah,
everyone else's life. I'm gonna send them this clip too. It motivates them a lot. They do
yeah,
an amazing job.
yeah.
So a lot of people have trouble with cold email, right? And the people that are watching this are basically going to be cold email senders, right? Basically, it's all they do, or they're trying to figure it out, start it, learn
Mhm.
something new. What is it about your cold email process that works for you and makes you successful, you'd say?
I think this is like anything in life. You just got to be consistent. Just don't give up and be creative and try to do something that other people aren't doing. And that's like I was talking about that make.com workflow where we're leveraging ChatGPT and all this data in a Google Sheet to create hyper custom icebreakers.
Yeah,
So like literally that first sentence is going to somehow tie, their job, their college, their experience, a recent news article, recent funding, whatever
yeah,
and we go after decision makers. So I mean, most brass know like industry news or things going on within their business. So we're trying to number one, scale our volume, but also use tools like make.com and ChatGPT to create hyper custom like hook like first sentences. We do everything. We do ads, we do cold outbound. I have a call center. I'm doing social. Yeah, we do newsletter, SEO, PR. And all these things average out over time. But I mean, email is the easiest, the highest ROI. It's just like there's a lot to it. You got to get data, you got to clean data, you got to have, sequences and workflows and landing pages. And I highly recommend anybody who's like getting into this journey to really invest in learning the whole process of cold email. Don't just learn how to set up a server and work with an ESP. Like learn how to get your data, clean your data, work with the ISP, work with the ESP, build landing pages, build follow-up systems, and really understand start to finish how this thing works. And that's what's going to make you dangerous. And that's what's going to make you confident and not get frustrated because you're going to just understand like, hey, this is a process. Things need to be tweaked. We're going to try this. We're going to scale this. We're going to let the data tell us like if this is good or not. Do A/B tests, do ABC tests, and like really just pay attention to it. And it's like, it's a craft. You got to enjoy the process, but the process will lead to results if you stay consistent. And that's like anything in life, 90% of people will just give up. So be that 10% of people that don't and just keep trying.
yeah. Cold
And
email is definitely not easy.
it can be once like you understand it, but getting up and get going is kind of intimidating, right? You're like, what's a IP server? Like, how do I get my domains? How do I set up my, DNS settings? What's a DMARC? I didn't know any of this. I just watched YouTube videos, right? And then
Yeah.
you'll find systems that help you automate it and help you take care of it. And I had to learn how to build landing pages. And now there's tools out there that help you do it. Like there's Lovable and like it's getting easier. So
Yeah.
your excuses are getting weaker. Like there's no excuse for it. Now it's a lack of effort or trying. But there's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of resources, self-education tools like Inframail, that make things easier. I remember having to like buy domains on GoDaddy and then go to Woodpecker and like set up my own DNS records and like add DMARC settings and what is it, SPF or whatever. Yeah, all these settings. I had to like do it in GoDaddy and like it took forever. I was just like, oh my God. Like this
Those
is
days, those days were insane, man.
yeah.
I can't
But
believe,
people did it. Like
yeah.
so
Yeah, sometimes when something is that hard, I actually legitimately, that's why we did Inframail, because I was like, dude, this is like so insane. I don't even get why this problem exists because it shouldn't. There's just some problems where you're just like, there's no way someone should sit here and
yeah.
set this up. It just like What if they set it up and they actually grow a business, and the only reason they didn't grow their business is because they just didn't get through 100 domains, like,
Yeah.
which is kind of annoying. But
Yeah.
obviously, you send cold emails very like well, and you grow your business that way. And a lot of people, I think, they focus on deliverability, infrastructure, ESP, warm up, all this stuff, right? But the main thing is sales process that people don't talk about. Is like, what is this sales process? And when you get an interested reply, one of the most difficult things is like the person is cold, the leads are cold, they don't know you from Adam. So how do you handle that process after someone comes in and they reply? Like, how does it go from that to?
Um, so we loop in our sales team. So we have like a Slack channel. Some of these tools will do like an AI automated reply. I don't like that because again, our service is like
Niche?
so niche, right? And you know, we're reaching out to people who can spend tens of thousands of dollars, and I don't want them to feel like, hey, this was a cold outreach plus I got an AI response. But as soon as we get responses, we have webhooks within our ESPs, and then we get notified within Slack. And then our team, reaches out, it gets put into our CRM. Our CRM has sequences, it creates tasks. But this is when you start leveling up and you understand like how to use all these tools and bring them together. So, I mean, yeah, it's a fun journey. You can't treat it like a chore. Like you got to treat it like, hey, everything I'm doing right now, it's only going to make me better. It's going to make me more money. I'm going to learn a hard skill that's valuable in any business that I'm going to be in. Lead generation, every business needs lead generation. Most people don't even understand how to use email, and it's like 2025. It's just like, all these tools make it easy. So I just again go back to a holistic approach, how to get everything set up from start to finish. And then like just getting them to reply, that's for me, that's the fun part. When I go to these ESPs and I see like, ooh, interested, I'm like, yes, yes, there's another one. There's another one, we converted a six-figure cold email order like 2 months ago. Like it pays for our infrastructure for like 3 years, it's just
Yeah,
like,
crazy.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why aren't you doing it? Like, there's no reason not to. And all this data online is so available now, like learn how to scrape, find tools
Yeah.
that teach you to scrape. And it's just like, you can go on LinkedIn, build your exact list that you want, and then scrape it, clean it. Now you have 3,000 leads that you can just pound for the next 4 months, and book 30 appointments or 50 appointments, and it'll be your highest ROI. And again, I sell a marketing tool, but it's different. We try to use ours for more of a powerful, impactful, tangible. We try to make it look like somebody actually sent it.
And you can even copy people's like handwriting styles.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly. We're trying to help people send handwritten mail in their handwriting. So it's like a CEO sends out mail. So if it ends out online, it's his handwriting. It's not going to be like, oh, PR problem. That's not actually his handwriting. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's interesting. I didn't even think about it from
Yeah.
like being an
Yeah.
exposed PR type of way. But I know you mentioned the data part, scraping the data, all that stuff. At that scale, one of the bottlenecks for me, maybe for a lot of people watching too, is that getting data at that scale is very hard. I have a data guy right now. There's actually a 16-year-old kid named Max, super fucking awesome, like crazy cracked kid. But how do you handle data? Because I know you're doing 15K right now, you're about to do 40, 50. How's that gonna work?
There was a really cool scraping tool. I mean, I'll build the list and I have VAs help me manage all that stuff. So I'll just build a little SOP and say, hey, here's the workflow I need you to execute. We used to use Appify. There was some cool scraping tools on Appify. But I mean, there's really cool LinkedIn scrapers. What is my
I mean,
LinkedIn
you can
scraper?
basically hit anyone with a pulse. So your TAM is pretty large.
Yep. I think it's an email finder. I don't know, but there's tons of tools. I mean, we used to use Appify to scrape Apollo, but you can also buy list. You can use Phantom Buster to scrape. This is how you're gonna go from like zero to hero. It's like really start thinking about it. Like, I need to reach out to marketers in the nonprofit space. I can find that on Apollo. I can find that on LinkedIn. Oh, but there's also groups on Facebook. There's also places on Reddit that I can go and scrape that information. These are people who have intent. They're in these groups because they want to learn, they want to stay ahead. And now you're targeting the right people who are more interested in trying new things within their niche, if that makes sense. So you got to get really creative. It's like a screwdriver in my hand's not as, dangerous versus in the hands of like a master mechanic. Like I'll know how to do basic stuff, but this master mechanic knows how to do everything, and it's going to be a lot more valuable to him than it is me. But he's gone through the training, he has the experience, which makes that tool that much more, valuable. So it's like you got to start elevating yourself as a holistic marketer, holistic cold emailer to get even better results, which is like why we use a make.com, why we scrape multiple platforms. I mean, these are all things you can learn. Go to YouTube and say scrape LinkedIn, and a
Yeah.
hundred videos are going to show up, show you how to do it, you know?
At that
Uh,
scale, it's insane. Yeah, at that scale, because if you, I mean, if you're doing like 20K a day or whatever, let's say you get 100 or 80, a list of 100 or 80 or whatever, you have to verify, and then you already lose half. So you're just using a bunch of different tools, a bunch of different
well, we
enrichment.
were using Appify, and you can scrape 50,000 at a time, but that's 50,000 per scrape. You can do 10 runs at once, just 10 different URLs. So, I mean, we could have scraped a 500,000 emails in one day, no problem. It's
Yeah,
just you had to pay for it. But there's ways, there are other platforms that help you do it. There's always going to be a way. And this is another thing. I used to get like really like freaked out, like, oh, this is going to go away. I'm going to invest all this time. Like, the Appify scraper went down, but other scrapers are going to show up, 2 days later. Like,
yeah,
if there's always going to be a way to do what you want to do, it's just you're going to have to stay on the edge of your seat. And when things happen, you're going to have to get into figure it out mode. But you've been in that figure out mode for so long before, like it just gets easier to figure it out. You don't stress about it anymore. And I just don't stress about it anymore. So it's like, um, you know, everything's going to come back. Somebody's going to be creative enough to solve that problem, and then they're going to profit off of it. Like, I don't care if solve the problem for me, I'll pay you to solve my problem.
yeah.
So, yeah,
I think after you like so many fires happen in a business, then when like you get desensitized, so nothing really hurts anymore. You're just
yeah,
like, whatever.
that's what it is. I mean, at year seven, I'm just like so calloused from all the problems we've had to solve. We're just like, all right, whatever. Oh, okay, we'll figure it out. Like we call it
Yeah,
Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. But again, you grow through what you go through. You want the challenge. Like if you don't want the challenge, like you're gonna be part of that 90% that give up because it's gonna be hard. Like embrace the challenge, want the challenge, grow through the challenge, face it, run towards it, don't run away from it. And you'll get to that point in your career or your self-growth, your journey toward nothing. You'll feel like you can solve any problem. And that's one thing I'm really proud of through growing a business is that I've had to learn how to solve so many problems that I don't get super worried about it anymore. Like that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I totally feel you. I'm not even that far into the business journey, and you have a lot more calluses. I'm sure you put out way bigger fires, way like even last call. I think your partner was saying, "Oh, like the robots are not working." I'm making it sound crazy.
We had a storm, so all our power went out.
Yeah,
We had like 100-year storm here in Phoenix. Like literally, it rained for like 5 days in a row. It hasn't done that in like 150 years here in Phoenix. So like all our power went out, and yeah, so we had to reset everything, and yeah, it was
yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, the joys of playing with robots,
Yeah, I
working.
know. They run off power. What can you do? But we're gonna close up here. So, what would you say, like, advice to someone watching, whether it's cold email advice, business advice, any word of advice, like, what would you?
Um, I would say, I mean, what I was saying earlier, like, I mean, run towards your problems, face your problems, solve your problems. I think, I've been in enough masterminds now. Like, the growth you're seeking is in the work you're avoiding. And I think that's a really important thing for people to process. And I remind myself of that every day. There's things I know I need to do and I just don't do it. And I'm just like, I'll do it after this. And I'm just like, it's nagging. I need to do it. I will feel better when it's done. It will be off my plate, but it's like, ugh, and it's like going to be painful because some of these things, yeah, but yeah, you grow through what you go through. The growth you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. You know, I think invest in yourself always. It's the best investment you can do. You can pay someone to do this for you, which that's an option, but I would rather invest my time and money in learning and growing and becoming a much more dangerous entrepreneur than just paying somebody else to do it. And a lot of people would rather just pay somebody, but I would rather invest my time and energy in learning. So yeah, that's a few things. So I don't know if that makes sense,
No,
but
that's a big one. I think I'm running towards something right now as we speak that I was supposed to do yesterday and I should be doing today, which I'm going to do after this call. I have it blocked out on the calendar. But yeah, running towards the problems is quite literally what we do every day when we're running a business, and at least that's what you try to do. Because if you don't, then it kind of sucks.
yeah.
But yeah, you just make less money, everything goes wrong. So yeah, last thing, last word. Would you recommend Inframail to a cold email sender?
Oh, of course, absolutely. I love working with you guys.
Okay.
So, but I would diversify. I'm sorry to say
No,
that.
no. You know
Always
that I
diversify.
say that too, actually. I agree with you. Diversifying is, I say it in my emails, 100%. You got to diversify.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't make sense, right? Like if you're a marketer, you can't just do ads. You got to do everything, right? If you're relying, on one thing and it goes down and it's shut down for 5 days, how's that going to affect your business?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So I diversify. I do call center, I do email, I do newsletter, I do ads. We do it all. Social, SEO, PR. You need to be everywhere. Be everywhere because I always tell my sales reps, call, text, email your leads because some people are going to want to text you, some people are going to want to email you, some people aren't going to email you or text you. They're going to want to talk to you on the phone. So you got to hit them up everywhere. I don't know. I don't know if there's any Office watchers out there, the show The Office, but I have the mindset of Ryan when he built the his business called Woof. And I don't know if you've ever seen this episode, but it was an idea to where when you press a button, it hits everybody everywhere. It sends them a fax, it sends them an email, it sends them a call, it sends them a text. And that's what we try to do here. We try to make sure all of our leads see us everywhere
Yeah.
because they're going to reply where they want to reply. Like they're going to engage where they want to engage, not where we want them to engage, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I haven't seen The Office, but that's interesting. The wolf thing is pretty,
That's it's like 20 years ago. I mean, early
uh,
2000s. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. But we'll do quick hot seat. So, hot or cold? It can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Cold. I do cold plunges every day.
Okay. iPhone versus Android.
I'm an Android guy, but I have an iPhone because my wife and family, everybody has iPhones. So it's just easier for FaceTiming with kids.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Instantly versus Smart Lead.
I don't like either. So I like Reach Inbox. We just started using +5 the year. And then our lowest ESP is Instantly. I think Instantly is just way, I understand it, but it's just too expensive. There's better tools for lower prices out there.
That's fair. Yeah, I
My
agree.
opinion, but hey, I know a lot of people like Instantly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. So do you verify catch-alls or you don't verify
Yes,
catch-alls?
of course. So we'll always clean our email list. I don't care. I would rather practice safe sending hygiene versus saving time and not doing that. So we'll always double verify. We use Million Verifier and Reune to verify our emails, and then we only send to good emails. We won't do catch-alls. So, and
Yeah,
I know
okay.
some people will, but we won't.
That's fair. Lead magnet or no lead magnet?
So we're in a niche business that a lead magnet is really hard to come up with. So I think in order to be really successful at cold email, you have to have a strong lead magnet. Um, but again, we have such a niche product that's confusing. So we have to pitch case studies and success rates, which is super salesy
Yeah.
versus like, hey, here's the value, this is the technology. We can't just give away, 1,000 cards. There's a hard cost and time cost to that. So yeah, you need it, but our business, it's really hard. So, but you do need it. I would say it's valuable.
That's fair. Okay. Steak or chicken?
Steak is more satiating, chicken's better for dieting.
True. Sparkling or still?
Still.
That's fair. All right. Well, Rick, I appreciate your time coming on and giving us the time, giving us a lot of sauce. I think it's going to be a great interview for the audience. Thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you, Rick, for being here. You guys can like, subscribe. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming. So, yeah. Any last words?
Be consistent. That's it. Cream rises to the top.
That's
So
fair. Yeah.
stay consistent.